Howdy, folks, and welcome to another segment covering the genius of Buffalo Bill Cody. We continue to discuss the role of Ned Buntline on the entry of Buffalo Bill onto the stage and the creation of his persona as a celebrity. And we talk about context. And as Buffalo Bill is busy, we're using his notes in this discussion. So Ned Buntline and other prominent and wealthy people succeeded to get Texas Jack and me to commit to Ned's Scouts of the Prairies, and we arrive in Chicago, but in what context that resulted in what followed? The launch of my successful 10-year stage career as a forerunner to the subsequent 30 years as showman and impresario of my Wild West show. First of all, here's something I need to address. People wonder how I can possibly speak with some level of articulation, given my lack of formal education, something I even boasted about during my life. Well, I give full credit to my mother, a teacher, who made sure I was well read. And that helped me endure isolation when I, as a youngster, spent weeks isolated and alone in the wilderness in the middle of winter with a broken leg. I read the entire Bible. What better education can one hope for than reading and absorbing the wisdom of the writers of the Bible? And why wonder about why I became such a great storyteller? Although I admit, at times I am too wordy. By 1872, America is nearing the height of imperialism, reaching manifest destiny in territorially spreading from east coast to west and north to Canada, plus Alaska, and south to the Mexican border with ambitions in the Pacific and the Caribbean. Population growth, spurred by waves of immigrants, is reaching 25% each decade. Cities, and thus urbanization, are doubling their population. Industrialization is causing a rapid rise in factories, bureaus, and offices. In significant numbers, people are achieving wealth without being born into it. We call these people shoddies. Tenement houses give rise to densely packed neighborhoods. Working hours and the type of work available include long hours in uncomfortable and even dangerous work environments. Lifestyles are changing. People are agitated and looking for relief with nostalgic views of the frontier. Visions of the West are being dominated by sensationalized accounts of heroic action, barbarity, and conquest of savagery by civilization in media. One key aspect of media are the dime novels, which are illustrated, textual, and fictional accounts of a hero fighting and winning battles against Indians and other villains to save damsels in distress. Happy endings. Reading about it wasn't enough. People wanted to see and experience these stories. They turned to the theater, and at first it was on the stage with roles played by members of local theatrical groups. Then came the combinations, which were touring groups with actors staging plays for short periods of time and moving on to other cities and towns. Yet, there was still a missing link, and that link was related to presence. Presence of the hero himself. Ned, having met me, took that step by inviting me and Texas Jack, another genuine hero, to perform in Scouts of the Prairies. Other prominent people who had met me during my hunts supported that notion, and together with Ned, made it happen. So, having secured my commitment to perform, a question arose as to where to have the performance. Again, either fate or Ned's genius had the answer: Chicago. Why? Because Chicago had just experienced the worst fire in its history, reducing a good portion of the city to ashes with hundreds dead. Blame it on Mrs. O'Leary's cow turning over a lantern in her barn. And there was a theater which had survived, circular in shape, with a stage capable of holding up to 2,500 people with a canvas roof. It was called Nixon's Amphitheater. Ned rented it for $600. Given the context of the times, we're anxious to take the time and spend the money to participate in a historic event, even if critics opined it was a terrible play. They didn't matter, the audience did. Until next time, happy trails.